Before we get started with today's video, just a really quick shout out to the YouTube channel Cujo TV. This guy makes short comedy sketches and specializes in dark humor. So if you are into that kind of thing or just want to support another small YouTuber like us, check out his channel. He's really cool. Link in the description. And without further ado, time to listen to an adult man talk about the logistics of kids' movies for an unhealthy amount of time. So, True Love's Kiss, a plot device that can only be explained by magic that we shouldn't spend more than 10 seconds of thought on? Wrong! What if I told you that there is an explanation for how it works within the Disney Princess Cinematic Universe? You heard me correctly, the DPCU is here, and it all starts with saliva. Certain individuals might be tempted to click away from this video now, thinking Caleb's really went off the deep end with this one. Well, let me tell you this, Carl. If you couldn't tell that I went off the deep end a long time ago, then you've obviously not watched enough of my videos. But seriously, please don't click away. By the end of this video, I will hopefully convince you not only of the existence of the DPCU, but also that the prince from Snow White and Rapunzel from Tangled are related. It starts with True Love's Kiss and understanding what is really going on here. The ability to bring someone back to life is a trait that most ordinary people don't have, unless you're like Jesus or something. Wait, is the prince from Snow White Jesus? No. But the reason I bring this up is, as it turns out, another Disney character also has that ability, Rapunzel. She was able to resurrect Finn Rider with her tears, but that raised a question that probably literally no one else is asking, which is, could any bodily fluid have brought him back, such as urine or saliva, perhaps? I mean, isn't it possible that the reason they were both able to bring someone back to life is because they're related? The fact that they both moistened a corpse right before bringing it back to life isn't enough evidence on its own to say that they're related. We have to dig a little deeper. And the deeper you dig, the more evidence you find. Not that kind of evidence. I'm talking about evidence for the theory. Please don't dig up my yard. You won't find where I hid the bodies. First, we have to prove that the Prince's Kingdom and the Kingdom of Corona, that name sure aged well, are the same kingdom. Why do we have to prove that, you might ask? Well, the Prince, let's just call him Grover Cleveland for simplicity. Grover Cleveland and Rapunzel are both royals, which means if this theory is true, they would have to be heirs to the same kingdom. For instance, if the two respective kingdoms were on the opposite side of the world, my theory would fall apart. But the gods have blessed me because, as it turns out, there is more than enough evidence to suggest that they are in fact the same kingdom. Not only do both films take place in Germany, but each kingdom is situated on the coast. Bear in mind that Germany only has 1,484 miles of coastline. Also, both castles have a wall around their base, and a similar number of windows and towers. But in case you're that one person who still thinks those similarities are just a coincidence, I'm looking at you, Carl! Look at the King of Corona, and look at Grover Cleveland. They both have brown hair. They both have blue eyes. They both use blue as the central color in the royal attire. If Grover Cleveland is a relative of the King of Corona, then the genetics, the clothing, the geography, the castle all line up. And how did the Kingdom of Corona know about the magic flower and that cooking it into a stew would save the queen? And why is their tower designed for someone with super long hair? What if it is because Rapunzel was not the first one with magical healing powers? What if there was another person with magical hair before her? Someone by the name of Grover Cleveland, perhaps? If I am right about this theory, then we can add Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to the already pretty extensive Disney Princess Cinematic Universe. We know that Tangled and Frozen take place in the same universe, since we saw Eugene and Rapunzel at the coronation of Elsa. And we know that Moana takes place in the same universe as Tangled, since we saw a version of the yellow flower in Moana. Also, speaking of Moana, we know Moana takes place in the same universe as The Little Mermaid because in the post-credit scene of Moana, Tamatoa mentions Sebastian. And we know that The Little Mermaid takes place in the same universe as Cinderella and Hercules because presumably King Triton is the son of Poseidon, and we saw the Duke from Cinderella on Eric's ship. And if you want to see more weird crap like this, then subscribe to our channel before Carl discovers our evil plans and holds us accountable for our crimes. I really need to find a better place for those bodies.